All right, welcome back everyone. This next installment to my little mini series on my shell will be detailing the dolly that you're seeing here, how I move about in the garage and how I get it into place so I can then load it onto my truck, which I'll be showing you as well, and then taking it off my truck. And then at the very end, I'll just give you guys a little glimpse onto how I store this thing. Might not seem like much, but it is a big part of the project itself. Being able to plan ahead and know where you're going to keep this thing is pretty vital. When I originally built the dolly itself, it was out of 2x4s and some simple ties. It wasn't strong at all, and to be honest, I didn't pay much attention to the dolly. It got the camper shell around nicely, and I was able to load it onto my truck just fine, and I kind of forgot about it until just a few weeks ago, which would be like almost a year down the road. I went to load the shell onto my truck again, and the dolly, sure enough, almost broke on me. Luckily, I saved it, but that made me revisit the dolly itself. So here you're seeing the new revised version of it. It's I'm sure it's not much to some of you guys, but you know, it does just fine for the camper shell. You'll also notice there's two parts of the dolly itself. This is the top part. I also had to revise it. I used some angle iron in the corners. Originally it was just these ties that I just pointed at and some 2x4s, and this thing was warping like a mother. Went back, threw some angle irons on it, welded it up, and just screwed it together. Seemed a little half-assed to some, and yeah, I will admit it was kind of. But at the same time, it's so sturdy right now, I couldn't think of anything more I need to add to it. And yeah, you'll see how I use this top part and the bottom part in conjunction with getting it onto my truck in just a minute here. But I'm just showing you guys that the revised version was necessary. I'm sure a lot of you are wondering why that dolly looks so wide, and that's because I needed a little bit extra clearance on the side of my truck for the jacks to clear the wheel wells. So yeah, besides the dolly, the only other things I need are the two 4x4s and this pair of jacks that I got off eTrailer, which I posted the link down below. Now this is the part where I'm going to be getting a lot of critiques, and I do encourage that, so please don't be shy. I'm using my youth to my advantage right now by lifting the shell with my hands, but should also say how light this thing is. I slide the 4x4s underneath, one at each end, and then I'm able to slide the dolly in between those so that I can pick it with the jack. Once the top portion of the dolly is set in place, based on the marks that I have set from prior loads, we go ahead and put the jacks underneath it, where I also have it set to marks. Even though I have the shell landed on the dolly at its designated spots, I still always lift it just a hair above the truck bed, just to see that everything is aligning nice and evenly, and that the shell isn't leaning to one side or the other. Once I'm confident in the shell's ability to balance on its own, I then remove the 4x4s after lifting the shell only an inch or two above. Once that's done, it is then safe to drive away, and then I can begin lowering the shell onto the lower half of the dolly. Keeping one hand on the shell and the other lowering, we're able to maintain a level position as we lower this thing down nice and gently. And obviously giving it some final tweaks as we go to set it down. Once the top portion of the dolly is resting on the bottom portion securely, we go ahead and close up the shell and make it safe for transport. And in order to install it onto my truck, the steps are the same, just reversed. It's definitely a two-person job though, and I'd say it takes about 10 to 15 minutes to install it, and same to remove it. And if you guys are just now joining the series and haven't seen how I connect my shell to my truck, then I suggest you check out the questions answered video where it shows a lot of my other methods, including that. Storing it inside a garage was a big thing for me. I really wanted this thing to stay out of the weather. So I would highly recommend you guys plan on something like that. It just will prolong the life of your shell. And then I used the interior of the shell along with the dolly to store all my knickknacks, including barbecue, carpeting, flooring, bedding, jacks, stuff like that. I'll also be going into greater depth on my bedding and drawer systems that I have in place. I got some really cool stuff in store for you guys on that. So hit the like and subscribe button so you can keep in touch and stay on top of all my new videos coming out. Thanks guys, take care.